Age-old mystery. What is soul? Does it really exist? If so, where does it reside in the body? In the brain? In the heart? Or all over the body? We'll try to answer these questions with the hint Allah dropped in the Quran, inshallah. Stay tuned!
Da 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 da.
I was learning another one of Allah's beautiful names, Al-Qarib, the near one, when I came across this verse 16 of Surah Qaf. Immediately I was intrigued at the mention of jugular vein. My antenna went up. Zoom! In this ayah or verse, Hablil Warid is translated as jugular vein. Warid comes from the word mawrid, water, where water comes out. When the hablil rope is cut, water, or in this case, blood gushes out. But just what is jugular vein? In medical sense, jugular are veins that drains blood from the brain back to the heart. There are actually 4 jugular veins, one internal and one external, on both right and left sides of the neck. Since they are quite large and located in the neck, jugular veins are vulnerable to attack. Severing them can cause death due to rapid loss of blood. The closest in the verse, by consensus of scholars, refers to the nearest in terms of all encompassing knowledge, not in terms of physical closeness. Allah not only has a complete knowledge of man's scattered particles, but He also has the full knowledge of all thoughts that cross the mind of man. According to the Honorable Sufis, here the term qurb, closeness, goes beyond the concept of nearest in terms of knowledge. It is a special type of ittisal, which refers to contact or bond or relationship between Allah and His creation in His ghaib, unseen ways. But what is soul actually? Soul is a spiritual crux of a person that includes personality, memory, and identity, transcends material existence to survive through physical death. Why, after mentioning soul, Allah mentioned jugular vein? There are other more vital organs, other parts of body, or even other ways that are just as important. You know, every word in the Quran is laser sharp precise and has profound meaning that can't be substituted with another word. So I began to ponder, does this mean that the soul resides between the brain and the heart? The ancient Egyptians believed that the heart was not only an anatomical organ but also a seat of human consciousness, intelligence, and emotion. They believed that the heart recorded all of the good and bad deeds of a person's life and was needed for judgment in the afterlife, that they went into great lengths to preserve the heart after death. Then came along French philosopher and scientist René Descartes in the 17th century, postulating that the consciousness or soul resides in the brain with his famous quote, "I think, therefore I am." Many infer soul's existence without scientific analysis or reflection. Therefore, traditional science has dismissed the soul merely as an object of human belief or reduced it to a psychological concept. Recently, however, developments in neuroscience especially have started to challenge the old paradigm. One bold claim is by Dr. Stuart Hameroff, an American anesthesiologist and a professor at the University of Arizona, known for his study in consciousness, aka soul, and his controversial contention that soul or consciousness resides in the microtubules of a cell.
First got interested in consciousness, how the brain produces experience in college. In medical school, I was doing a research elective in a lab studying cancer, and I was looking at how cells divide.
Hameroff then learned about microtubules. Microtubules are hollow tubes that can be found in all living cells. 30 years ago, he had his eureka moment. And since then, he has formed a complex theory that microtubules are the location of what some would call the soul.
In my opinion, microtubules are the origin of consciousness, specifically quantum computation synchronized to gamma EEG inside neurons in the brain is the origin of consciousness.
Hameroff's theory has shocked the world of neuroscience. He's basically saying that consciousness may be found and quantified, that it has substance, and that it survives the body.
I'll stand by this, even though it's a bit controversial. It's conceivable that when a patient has a cardiac arrest or dies, The quantum information that involves consciousness isn't necessarily destroyed, or it may actually just sort of leak out and remain in the universe and remain entangled. If the patient's revived, then it can go back in and the patient had a near-death and out-of-body experience. If the patient dies, it's conceivable to me that that entity, which you could call the soul, remains entangled indefinitely. And so it's conceivable that the soul is a real entity in terms of quantum information embedded in the fundamental level of the universe.
On another front, a breakthrough in scientific research has led to the discovery of the heart brain. More than just pumping blood to the whole body, heart contains intricate network of several types of neurons, neurotransmitters, proteins, and support cells similar to those found in the brain proper. A little brain in our hearts. According to Heart Math Institute, traditionally the study of communication pathways between the head and heart has been approached from a rather one-sided perspective, with scientists focusing primarily on the heart's responses to the brain's commands. They have learned, however, that the communication between the heart and brain actually is a dynamic, ongoing two-way dialogue, with each organ continuously influencing the other's function. Research has shown that the heart communicates to the brain in four major ways: neurologically through the transmission of nerve impulses, biochemically via hormones and neurotransmitters, biophysically through pressure waves, and energetically through electromagnetic field interactions. Moreover, their research shows that the message the heart sends to the brain also can affect performances. Communication all along these conduits significantly affects the brain's activities. According to Sheikh al-Islam, both soul and nafs are the same thing, and both are connected to the heart and the mind. The reasoning starts in the mind and the desire starts from the heart, but the result of it can only be seen in the mind. It makes more sense now why Allah chose to mention the jugular vein as a pathway of communication between these two vital organs, brain and heart. It's profound in meaning both in the literal and metaphorical sense. Metaphorically, Allah is close to us at our most vital, vulnerable spot in our body to protect us. Literally or technically, what is exactly soul, along with its specificities, where soul resides, is a secret that only Allah knows. Soul is Allah's special ingredient, incorporeal essence that makes us as a human the perfect creation, the best creation ever. Soul is what makes us unique with our own sets of emotions, awareness, and experience that no artificial intelligence can ever imitate, nor any man can ever create. Wallahu alam. Anesthesiologist.